What about you, Steve? What was your introduction to this movie?
Oh, I thought you were gonna ask me about my time travel stories.
Oh, give us your time travel stories first, by all means.
Well, I mean, we'll just kind of blend it all together. How about this? So the first time I saw this movie was in theaters when it came out in 2005. I believe I was at the end of my high school journey. So I was, preparing to go to school to study film, and I was super excited, and I was like a sponge for everything that I thought was good in terms of like anything that was good cinema. So I would just try and like sop it all up and store it or analyze it or overanalyze it or steal from it for my own creative devices, or I guess like pay homage, recycle. You're not stealing if it's good.
Isn't there a saying or something like best, like good artists copy, great artists steal, or something like that?
There is a saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's the exact saying, but yeah, you've pretty much got it. But yeah, I remember when I saw this, like there was the classic sort of like dweebo book people who would just get mad at you if you haven't read the book and you talked about how you like the movie. You're like, well, have you read the book? And it's like, no, I haven't read the book, but the movie was a lot of fun. And it's like, yeah, well, you need to read the book then. I'm like, you're not making me really want to read the book. You're just making me want to not talk to you specifically right now. But I do remember seeing it and thinking it was a lot of fun sound and visuals. Like everything in this movie has a fun sound to it. If you're into audio stuff, especially in movies, this movie, they play around with a lot of really fun stuff that you find yourself giggling at, just like stuff that you're not even sure other people would have noticed. They point out some of it here and there, but like like the Doors being like, oh, whatever, like that's quite funny.
The bowl of petunias, you can just hear it faintly smash in the background.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of stuff is so good. But yeah, I liked it a lot when I saw it, and I think that it allowed me to realize that like, obviously movies it's very important to have structure, and there needs to be clear direction and narrative, but then sometimes you can just throw a bunch of slop into a bucket. As long as there's a beginning and an end, you can kind of just fill it with whatever you want, and it doesn't necessarily have to make sense as long as it's fun. And that's kind of how I feel about this movie. But anyway, yeah, the first time I saw it was the day it came out. I believe I saw it on opening day. And the second time I saw it was Monday. I have not watched it since.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. That's
so
my
that
experience.
Was the second time?
Yeah, I just haven't watched it. I don't know. It's one of those movies where I'm like, I really like that movie, but I don't want to watch it right now. And then I just would never watch it, and I never have. So.
It was one of those movies for me that was like, along with once it came out, you would like, it was, house parties and hanging out at people's houses after school. I was 20, so that didn't really exist. But if you went to a house party and it was more chill, like kitchen party kind of vibe, you go in the living room, and it was one of those movies that would be on the TV around.
You can't have a kitchen party in the living room, Jason.
I know, you have a kitchen party in the kitchen, and then there are too many. You can only have like 7 people or so in the kitchen at a time. There's also a Halifax thing or an East Coast thing. I don't know if you guys had like they weren't just people go into the kitchen here, but we had parties that primarily happened in the kitchen, and then the spillover would go to the living room, and there would always be a TV or like an N64, some old console setup. It's very East Coast to do that, I think. We also do. We raised the roof in Halifax. We invented that.
My time travel thing.
Yeah,
so like you guys, I do a lot of writing and thinking and trying to be creative. It's part of my job now, which is kind of cool. I never really, for a long time, I was just like, I'm just going to be a nobody doing nothing my whole life. And I'm like, oh, I get to write fun stories. But I was tasked with, I had a job working for an escape game company for many years. And in the very early age of that era of my life, I was tasked to try and create a narrative through point between a bunch of games that we were adopting from Japan. And we'd purchased all the rights to build the rooms and use the puzzles and all that stuff, but their games didn't really have any kind of narrative, even though they called them Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. They just had nothing to do with each other. So I had to try and create a through point between these stories. And it never really went anywhere, but I did work with one of my friends, and she and I came up with this super intricate time travel device. And because the second game had to do with time travel, so we're like, okay, so the first one has nothing to do with anything, it's just a room full of puzzly shit. And the third one, same deal, but the second one is all time travel stuff, and the whole mechanic is time travel. So we came up with this
awesome.
We came up with this like really over convoluted sort of lore system where we started, and then we're like, we'll work backwards from there. And so like the system was like, there's a company that can only send things back in time. It cannot travel forwards in time. So it would send information backwards in time in order to like make smart business decisions or investments and all these things, so that the company in the future would be able to maintain financial control of, you know, its reaches or whatever. And
you had like a person in the past and then a person in the future who had to like pretend in the future that they didn't know anything about this group. They just kind of appear in the room.
Yeah,
it was really well put together escape room, and I hope that it lives on. Like somebody stole that idea. I worked in it.
Oh, nice. Is that where you guys met?
Yeah.
No.
Well, not really.
I mean, that's where we became friends. We were kind of like
Right.
friendly, and then we became good friends working there.
We were blood enemies, and then we worked together and became blood friends.
I love it when that happens.
Yeah, and now I have to take medication for that.
Yeah. And I don't.
Yeah. But yeah, like the narrative kind of grew from there, and like we came up with this character who was trying to like sabotage the company, and they would send people back in time. They would send the people they would send back in time were like terminally ill, they were terminally ill or dying or super elderly, and they would pay them and their family a substantial amount of money because you can't come back, you get sent back,
right?
Gotcha. And then they would deliver the information, and then people in the past would then assassinate them. So it was like this sort of like business transaction where you would have to like go back, and you knew you weren't coming forward, but they didn't really tell you that when you got back there they're just going to assassinate you anyway. But thanks for taking the trip. And we started trying to figure out how the mechanic worked, and I'm like, okay, so lightning is an electrical discharge caused by imbalances between storm clouds and the ground. So what if they figure out a way to like send things up through lightning into the clouds, and then when it comes down and makes contact with the earth again, that's the time travel. So
right,
like,
when you have an awkward silence in a conversation.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it was a really fun exercise. We didn't unfortunately get to implement it into the games the way we wanted to, but we did end up coming with a lot of really cool, fun stuff. It is like, as much as I sort of hate time travel as a narrative device, if it is the focus and you figure it out and you make it fun and you don't have to make it overly complicated and dumb or use it to like erase things from
like a clutch or hutch or
it's a crutch in a lot of stories where they're like, oh, we need to figure out how to fix this. Okay, we'll just send someone back in time and they'll change it.
I want to point out a little bit though that this movie is more like interdimensional travel. We don't really have the travel crux. I think I brought up the time.
I wasn't talking about this movie because like time travel. We were just talking about time travel because it came up because of you brought it up.
What I want to, I just want to clarify. It was Douglas Adams writing that made me think that you could. So the turning point of this movie is sort of, you find out that the super intelligent beings of the future past invent this machine, and they just want to know the meaning of life essentially, and it's so complex that it boils down to a math equation that takes 7 million years to fucking figure out. So it's kind of like our AI, the way our AI is now, where it's really like pedantic, and this machine is like 42 and and there's the little things throughout the movie and the book that are like really like specifically weird, and that's how I came to the conclusion that I could just write whatever the fuck I wanted. Because before that, what I would do is when I wrote stuff, I would just rip off Final Fantasy. I had this giant long story that I wrote about how all my friends
Jason's got a crazy haircut in his room.
Yeah,
with like
exactly.
A yellow pad writing. He has a giant sword on his back.
Yeah.
But it was all Final Fantasy VIII because that was like the newest game at the time.
Sorry, a
So they
giant
were all
sword
like-
with a gun at the end.
Yeah,
of it
exactly. They were all, everybody was super depressed and angsty.
No, but I agree with you though, because when I was in university, I took this course where we were meant to have to write a journal entry at the end of every lecture. And you were supposed to implement what you had learned from that lecture into the journal entry in some way, or kind of like analyze it or explain it, or just kind of like prove to yourself that you understood or at least got something out of the message that you were meant to for that.
That seems like a good way to cement it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I approached my professor afterwards and I was like, I kind of want to try something different if it's okay with you. I'll do the journal entries if you want to, but what I would rather do is write a chapter of a story at the end of every lecture, like go home and then spend the week writing a chapter of essentially a book. And by the end of the year, I had written a book.
Nice.
And it was called The Sexy Party, a series of misadventures and misfortunes, or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but it was like a really long, over convoluted title.
I like it.
It was just about a guy going to an orgy, and then he realized that while he was in the orgy, had been abducted by aliens, but he wasn't sure if it was that he had been drugged or if he was actually abducted by aliens. And then the whole thing is like it was like this long story, but it was very much in the style of this, where it's like you have a beginning and you have a middle and you have an end, and then everything that happens in between those points is like, because I had to force myself to write about the stuff that I was learning in the course, the chapters are so differentiated from one another in terms of what I was dealing with, that it was just this like weird story that didn't really make much sense. But by the end of it, you're like, did the story even happen anyway? Like, who gives a fuck? The end of the book is him on a life raft in the middle of the ocean being pulled by a bunch of fish who can talk. They're dragging him back to shore. And they're like, what do you think the humans are going to say when we get there? And he's like, I don't know. What are you going to tell? What are you going to say for me? And they're like, we don't know how to talk. Just like, that's the story ends. He's like, oh my God, he's crazy. But yeah, that's what I kind of got from this movie, because I was right around the same time as seeing this. I started writing this thing, and it just kind of like allowed you to have that creative freedom when you know that nothing is going to really make sense, and you can hop from one crazy thing to the next without having to really be like, but why is this happening? You just write it, limited. And like it's just fun. And that's, you know, how I feel about this movie and as a whole. It just kind of feels like that. Like immediately something weird is happening, and then something weirder, and it just keeps getting weirder the entire time. And it's
the improbability drive or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't remember what how do we get right?
We were talking about the introduction, and then time travel.
And time travel, yeah. Okay, so that's the end of the introduction.
Word.
You've done it.
You mentioned about the doors. Did you notice how or this is how I interpreted it anyway. It was like the door was like felt pain when it was opening, like the way it sighed, like it had a different sigh for opening versus closing. It was like a sigh of pain and then like a sigh of comfort, like when it closed or whatever.
Oh.
I always pictured it like you're kind of, when you're opening, you're going like you're arching your back, and then when it's closing, you're going like leaning forward kind of thing.
I like that.
I just picture these things like
before we get into the bulk of the movie, I just want to, I thought I was going to look up the director and it was going to be somebody notable, but the director of this movie only has did a bunch of music videos, like a bunch of British, like, you know, Radiohead and Blur and fucking you know, who's the bald guy who used to be a DJ? Anyway, Moby. Anyway, Moby and Macy Playground, which is
he's got that one song that I like, the one about God.
Crazy Like I Should.
Troubles with God.
So, right, okay. Anyway,
but Moby's fine. I think nothing wrong with liking Moby.
That's cool.
He's not canceled, is he?
No, but the thing I noticed also, I don't think he's British. I think I just said British because I saw Radiohead. And neither's Macy Playground. Anyway, my point is that this guy only has 3 studio film feature directing credits. His name is
Garth. Garth Jennings, I think.
Yeah, his name's Garth Jennings, and he's only done this movie, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and the Sing movie, Sing 1 and Sing 2. Interestingly,
it might be like it may be that he just finds something that he wants to do and does it, and maybe he really enjoys making music videos, and maybe he likes his time off. Maybe he makes a big old $1 million, he makes $1 billion off a movie, and then he's like, I'm gonna just relax for a while.
He's been
like,
he just chilled out from 2005 until like what 2018, and then made a Pixar. Is it a Pixar movie? Anyway, an animated film. What? An animated film.
Yeah.
About, or DreamWorks probably, an animated film about basically karaoke, and then probably made another million. It was like, that's the key to making another $1 billion is team up with one of these animation studios and make them just sing the hits of today.
Also, I don't know if you guys know this, but making a movie is a lot of fucking hard ass work.
I know.
You're like working for 20 hours a day for 6 months.
His direction in this movie is so good. Like it feels like I'm watching a James Gunn movie. I couldn't stop thinking about Guardians of the Galaxy through this whole thing.
That sounds like a porno.
There's a lot of visual cues in this movie that are going to make you draw that conclusion, right? Like they're both movies on spaceships in space. It's gonna feel like it, but like the comedy of it also like really kind of falls into that Gunn goofiness, right?
This is a little bit more British dry humor,
for sure,
and just like abstract. It's kind of like, it reminded me a lot of Monty Python kind of brand humor as well.
Yeah, like the
absurdist.
Should we lie on the floor and put a bag on our head or something?
Yeah.
They say, well,
yeah, dude, do that. Whatever. Is it going to help?
Yeah.
No.
Not at all.
No.
And then it cuts back later and they're doing it. Like, it's so funny.
Also the ending where like fucking Marvin just makes all the bad guys depressed and they just lay down.
Yeah.
Most anticlimactic ending ever.
Where'd you get that shirt from?
Mine?
No, Steve.
Oh.
I think I got this.
You're not gonna ask about my Ireland, Lobstars? I do like Steve's shirt though. He looks like a fucking.
Do those buttons go all the way down?
Heyo.
Do they go all the way down? Yeah, they do.
Do they go all the way down and around under your butthole?
Yeah, it's a unitard.
One of those onesies? Yeah.
And the one at the bottom's a snap, so I can snap it open easily.
Yeah, exactly. What are those things called? Fuck, what are they called? Romper? Is it a romper?
No, romper is like a whole thing.
The body thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Romper is like a jumpsuit.
It's like those old-timey swimsuits.
Yeah.
Rompers were very popular.
From 2017
Good luck
to
trying to use the bathroom.
Yeah, you just take off all your clothes.
Yeah, your whole clothing.
Put it on the dirty bar bathroom floor.
Well, there were no bars in 2019, late 2019 through 2020, early 2021. So, and then the style went away. Dudes have mustaches now, and the theory goes that everybody had mustaches under those masks, and they revealed their.
Ta-da! Look what I've been growing.
We all have shitty mustaches.
Yeah.
If I just did a mustache, oh man, game over.
You might be able to pull it off.
I can pull it off.
The thing is, people do things sarcastically now.
It would be sarcastic, but it would be like a fuck you to people that have shitty mustaches sometimes. Be like, look at my dope.
Is this are you digging at me with the rusty mustache covered screwdriver right now?
Rusty mustache over here
with my shitty mustache that I had.
My shitty mustache.
Mustache.
I can't grow one.
Kaylin, right the ship.
Let's take us back, turn us into a couch or a potted plant or a ball of yarn
or a bunch of flowers. That scene is so
good.
I think
I'm a couch.
You don't even see them as flowers. They're just wiping flowers away from their eyes, and it looks so
spitting
real.
them out. Yeah, and it looks disgusting. A lot of the stuff, I'm like, ugh, why is that so gross to me?
The yard.
I think I'm a couch. I think I'm a sofa.
I know how you feel. So before my introduction to this movie, I remember I think it was high school, and there was a girl and my teacher talking about something, and they had like a little laugh, and I think the teacher said 42. Like they were talking about something, and then the teacher said 42, and they had a little laugh. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? And then I saw this movie and then pieced it together, like, 10 years later or whatever it was. So I saw this movie when it came out on DVD after one of my regular visits to HMV, and it had one of my favorite MCs at the time and still favorite, Mos Def, aka Yasin Bey, who is a really good
Short for
actor.
most definitely.
Most definitely. See, The Wire. I think
You mean
The Wire
most
made
definitely?
him change
I said most.
It sounded like you said most definitely.
It's short for Mos Eisley.
You know the show The Wire?
Yeah, I've seen every
They
episode.
said that a lot. They say, "Oh, Mos Def, Mos
Mos
Def."
Def.
I think that made him change his name, which kind of makes me feel bad.
Wait,
But
is
at the
that
same time,
was he like, my rap name is most definitely?
Yeah. No, it's in one of his songs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good trivia. Honestly, that's good trivia. I like that.
Next time you guys are streaming, I'll hit you guys with some more trivias.
Sweet. Come by most of our video game streams, because Ultra Pikey, who just commented in the chat and then bounced immediately because we weren't playing games. Well, we do trivia in the chat sometimes now, and it's great
Fun.
because
It broadens your knowledge and your mind.
yeah, it also made Steve feel stupid, I think, because he only
No, I was the only one that got any of them right. So it made me feel like I was smarter than everybody else.
The one that I saw, you were killing it.
I came in at the tail end. I was out. That's the stream that you got that you did because I couldn't do. Oh,
you were on the
Ultra Pikey
rowboat.
is still here. Sorry, buddy. Thanks. This movie's British, and I think you're British too, right? I think.
No, he's from Wales, I think.
That's British, isn't it? Anyway,
We're Canadian.
So-
We're not even American. Oh my god.
Okay.
fine.
So
This movie, Hitchhiker's Guide to the. Oh, I got to put it in front of me for you to see. I'm gonna read the back. And then we'll do our little body of work and have some fun and laughs and theories and thoughts and feelings. Let's see what it says. Here's the absolutely hysterical, wonderfully wild, cosmic adventure comedy, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's a good. That was well put. Based on Douglas Adams' worldwide best-selling novel and starring an outrageous intergalactic cast, this is one ride you don't want to miss. Seconds before Earth is destroyed to make way for a new hyperspace express route, mild-mannered Arthur Dent is whisked into space by his best friend, an alien posing as an out-of-work actor. And so the misadventures begin, as he and fellow travelers, including the cool but dim-witted president of the galaxy, the Earth girl Trillian, and Marvin, the paranoid android, search for answers to the mystery of life, the universe, and everything.
Hey, I have a question for you. Two questions, actually. One,
Hit us.
what do you think Sam Rockwell's performance was directly based off George Bush Jr.?
I don't think it was.
He said
directly.
otherwise.
He said otherwise because George Bush was the president at the time and had just, facilitated 9/11.
Good point.
And
Yes.
his
Didn't want the flack.
I thought that there was a moment where he says, like, the president doesn't need a full brain to, and it felt very George Bush-esque, and he does like kind of shit all the time. And the other question I can't remember. Oh, do you think that Paranoid Android is somewhere in the book, and that's why Radiohead called their album that? Third question: do we ever? I actually watched this movie, and I was waiting for them to do the Ford Prefect fucking thing from the book where they explain it, but I don't remember them explaining it.
What?
So, do you guys know where the Ford Prefect comes from?
The car. That's the car that he met.
Yeah, but does he say a little line where he's like, "I'm the first person"?
No, he just goes,
say the name of the car. He says, "Isn't it weird that I was trying to shake hands?" I can't do his accent.
He doesn't have one.
Don't change the subject. Don't change the subject. I just want to know if they say it in the movie, because in the book in the book the narrator is like, the first thing he saw was a Ford Perfect, or he saw an ad that said Ford Perfect.
No,
and he misreads it, and he's like, "I'll just call myself."
What happens
Ford
in the
Prefect.
movie? What happens in the movie is he says, "Do you remember the day we met?" And then it just cuts to
It
him
was a
going,
little odd.
and then he jumps out of the way, and it clips back to him going, "Don't you think it was a little weird? I was trying to shake hands with the car," and
Yeah.
like that's yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was
That's
But in the
yeah.
book, that's what happens. He sees Ford Perfect and he misreads it.
I've already forgotten all your other questions.
No,
The other questions were the second one
answered
is Paranoid Android is the name of a Radiohead album, and I'm wondering if it's from the book. That was sort of a rhetorical question. It was more of a And the first question I don't remember now either.
Don't worry, we'll watch it on
It's
the
Friday
playback.
nights.
Maybe ask them one at a time next time. Or I'll
The
write them
second
down.
question I pulled a Kaylin and I just like tangented and
Yeah.
then almost forgot my second question, which became my third question. You know what? Let's
Those are
move
my
on.
favorites.
Let's
Those
move
are my
on.
favorites.
I don't want to.
Can I do want to say one thing. The answer is answered at 42 minutes into the movie.
Is it actually?
That was
It's-
most definitely
Oh,
on purpose.
Oh,
I'm gonna
callback.
go grab a beer so I can catch up to you guys.
Oh, he's gonna join us.
I love
Yay!
it. I love it. So the thing too is I was waiting for the name drop and I was like, there's no way they're gonna say the name of the movie in the thing. And then it said the title card came up and I made a note. It's like 15:30 but the title card comes up, and even still I was like, there's no way they're gonna say. And then the narrator said The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
They say that 4 minutes and 4 seconds.
Oh really?
Yeah, the narrator says it almost at the very beginning.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's the
here we go. Another Roman candle to light my booty on fire.
That's what happened.
Ooh,
That's how you got into this
booty.
mess in the first place.
I have to be careful with how I talk about my butt play.
Yeah.
That's a
Or just
post-
don't talk
that's a
about it
post-show.
at all.
That's a post-show thing.
So do we want to go into the sort of, we'll just kind of walk through the movie and talk as we go?
Yeah.
I personally like that. And
I think
since
for
I'm
some
hosting,
movies it's
I'm
much
saying
better.
that's how we do it.
I think for some movies it's much better than others, and I think for this movie it's like let's just take a walk down the
Okay,
just hitch a
we'll
ride.
go through the movie and talk exactly. Oh,
To
look,
go
look, I
back-
have a. Hey, here's a question. Do you guys have Hitchhiker's thumbs?
No,
There's a bit of a curve, a little bit.
no, you're almost double jointed comparatively.
No, it's just a curve.
Mine
I
looks
said
like it
almost.
just goes like straight up and then straight out, like
That's what you said.
like a
There's some people
like a corking
that have,
knife.
like their thumbs go like that kind of. I can't do it because my thumb's like
So
that. But
here's something interesting. As unremarkable as the director is, the screenwriter for this movie, dude, he wrote.
Wait, you can't call him
unremarkable. What do you mean
unremarkable?
unremarkable?
That's
He
so
just
rude.
made an amazing movie.
Have you seen
He
any of the
wrote-
music videos he's done?
No, they're probably great. I think the one that he did is the
They're
one where
probably pretty unremarkable.
one of them is the one Lotus Flower. Where it's fucking the dude from Radiohead just dancing.
Have you ever directed a multi-million-dollar movie?
Yeah, it's called Hey, Did You See This One? And I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
So he wrote The Rescuers Down Under. He wrote Honey,
Which
We
one?
Shrunk Ourselves. He wrote Chicken Run. He wrote
Chicken Run's good.
Over the Hedge.
Wasn't that the one with Mel Gibson?
Chicken Run?
I think
Yeah,
that's
I think-
Drive
doesn't
In.
it-
Yeah,
Mel-
it's the claymation chicken movie.
Yeah. The
He
Wallace
wrote-
and Gromit or whatever.
Over the Hedge, Charlotte's Web, like the newer one that they made in 2006. He wrote Flakes. Now, have you guys seen Flakes?
No,
No.
don't know what that is.
Flakes is a Zooey Deschanel movie. That's like a romantic.
Oh, the
mumble-
girl?
It's a romantic
girl?
comedy. The titular girl. No, it's a romantic comedy. It's one of the original mumblecore movies before mumblecore was even coined, and it's about this girl who works at a restaurant. But do you know what the restaurant is? It's a cereal
Galaxy?
bar.
Papa
It's a
Mia
cereal bar.
Pizzeria.
And because of this movie,
Yo, I could eat cereal any day,
Hold
any
up,
time of the day.
hold up. Because of this movie,
Mm.
people started thinking, you know what? I'm gonna make a restaurant. I'm gonna make a cereal bar. In fact, in Halifax, Nova Scotia, between
Isn't there a bit in Seinfeld where, like, the show where he talks about that, where he's like,
Yeah.
"Why don't I just open a cereal bar?"
between Halifax having the Cracker Barrel or whatever the barrel where Freeman's is
It
now.
used to be called Apple Barrel.
Apple Barrel. Between Apple Barrel and Freeman's, it was a cereal bar restaurant for like 6 months because it's a dumb idea. Nobody's going to eat cereal for literally every meal. It's a novelty at best. You don't have to put your hand up. Just talk at me.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you
I'm
will.
Not putting my hand.
Yeah. I think he was, yeah.
Finally.
He was surrendering into admitting that he would eat
I
cereal.
yield.
So the other movies, though.
I mean, you just do a different cereal for a different meal.
Yeah, but
I
there's
hate
no
cereal.
savory. There's no savory cereals,
Now
and
there, I
people
said
hate
it.
cereal sometimes.
All
side.
cereal.
Anyway, the
And
rest of the
savory-
movies are the Spiderwick Chronicles, which I've heard of, Smurfs 2, Smallfoot, which I've heard of, and this, a new Chicken Run that they're making. So
They're making new
Weird that he's
chicken.
written all these things and didn't write this, but
no, he did.
he co-wrote it with the author of the book, right?
Yeah, he also wrote James and the Giant Peach.
Oh,
Ooh.
that's
I
one of
thought
my
we were
favorite
putting that on our
movies.
list.
It was on one of our lists, but we deleted that whole month.
Okay.
What was it like?
We still have to figure out next
weird
month, but
animated
we'll talk about that later.
freaks.
Yes, that's what they
Claymation,
called me
yeah.
in high school. That was my nickname.
Oh, way to bring it
You're
up.
always like,
Way to bring up old bad blood, Jason.
what?
I don't know. You're bringing up bad memories for Steve or something.
He brought up his memory for himself. All I said was weird.
Yeah, I was
animated
joking.
freaks.
Nobody called me that in high school.
James and the Giant Freaks is
They
what
called me a
called
bunch
him.
of slurs.
Because he liked man dick.
So I was watching the
women dick.
the
Any
special
dick, really.
features on the DVD,
Pretty
and
much.
the Vogons, right? The business bureaucrats or whatever you want to call them. Also,
Yeah.
is this movie just
They're-
like a what's the word I'm looking for?
Yes, anti-capitalist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
because he doesn't
yeah.
even say that they're that horrible. They're just like evil
They're
business.
super bureaucratic and like
The hypocrisy of bureaucracy or whatever.
bureaucracy.
Hypocrisy.
I can't
of-
talk.
Bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy.
That sounds like an alien race in this movie.
But like, you know what I mean? Like file, like, cause it's so like, you got to file this and then you got to submit it and then it's got to do this and that. It kind of reminded me of the Matrix where the agents have to follow the rules, but then we as people can kind of bend the rules as we see fit.
But they'll
right?
always put us back on track, and maybe that's what the vote.
They
They
tried
don't
to.
explore it that much, but
Well,
there's
yeah,
5 books, so
There are certain places within our world where that kind of stuff, the leeway is not given, right? Like even if there is like a human factor where we are like, oh, I feel bad for this person, I want to help them out. The only time I've ever really felt it is when my driver's license was about to like fully expire, where I would have to redo all my tests and everything. It was like the last day that I had to do it, and I went, and they told me I didn't need to bring anything, just my previous driver's license and like a health card or something. And then the guy was like, no, you need your birth certificate. And I was like, I don't have it though. And he's like, you need to get it. And I was like, but the line, if I go get it, and it'll be closed. And he was like, all right, just get it. And if you get it, come back and just flag me down. And I was like, okay. And I got it. And I went back, and it was so packed with people. The line was huge. They were like about to close. And I saw him and I was like, man. And he was like clearly leaving for the day. And he was helping somebody else. And he's like, I'm sorry, I got to help this guy or else his whole life will be super ruined.
I have a bureaucracy government victory actually as well, where
hit us.
You know how I did jury duty? Well, when we moved, we were able to change all of our addresses online very easily. And except for the sheriff's office, because they need your address if they want to summon you for jury duty. So I had this back and forth email with this person that was really like, I was like, I don't have, they were like, you need a utility bill and your birth certificate and a piece of identification beyond that. And I was like, all I have is my health card. And they're like, we don't accept that. And then
what's up with Ontario not accepting health cards?
It's a whole thing. We have an identification card here like Halifax. Anyway, so basically I told the person that, and then they just hit me back with, well, you need this. Well, I emailed them the things I had, and they were like, but you also need this and this and this. And I was like, I already told you I don't have those things. And they're like, well, thanks very much. That's good enough then. And I just felt like it's the little victories against the government that
I feel great.
Madison singing vindicated by the dashboard confessional in the background.
Hi, Madison.
The dashboard confessional. It's called.
Oh, did she hear me?
No, she can't hear you, but she can hear me ranting.
Is she
and
watching?
raving. She's looking at me.
They're in the same room together.
Yeah. She's looking at me and saying words. She can't see you or hear you, and she's singing the Dashboard Confessional, and then yelling at me, talking to me, not yelling, saying that it's just Dashboard Confessional, and I don't listen to any of that emo crap. I only listen to Weird Al Yankovic, okay?
What about
all
DMX?
I got is Weird Al
emo?
on my computer.
Pardon me, Caleb?
DMX is so emotional.
DMX is emo.
Not anymore.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mike
Tyson's
Tyson's pretty emo now.
Yo, Mike Tyson is so fucking cool.
Yeah, he became really cool, even though he raped all those people.
What?
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I was watching the special features, and so you guys know the Vogons, right? The character design for them.
Jelly bean.
Okay. So
Jelly bean with a weird pig
actually,
face.
side note, you guys remember that online video, Killer Bean? Killer Bean 2 was the good one. And we'll talk about that later. Anyway, so the Vogons, right? Their character design. So when they get to Vogosphere or whatever it's called, their home planet, and when they have an idea, they get hit in the face with the shovel or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the character design for the Vogons was like, it was like, years and years of having thoughts and getting hit in the face, that their noses get shoved up like that.
I thought that, and the aesthetics of the joke is like stepping on a rake and getting smacked in the face. But that part is a real thinker, because the Vogons' whole thing is like, they're all very dumb and very like narrow-sighted. They write bad poetry. The higher-ups write bad poetry, and the grunts literally wear like weird gimp suits and just do what they're told and just shoot. They just shoot their guns.
That's exactly. Do what they're told. They follow the rules or whatever. They do the they go by the book or whatever. They're not creative. They're not allowed to think or whatever. Exactly.
And that's kind of beyond the like anti-government, anti-capitalist sentiment. That is sort of like the whole point. The crew, like the team, is very they're very open-minded. Trisha wants to go to Madagascar when she first meets Arthur, and the whole thing is like, you have this Arthur Dent character who's very schlubby. He's very narrow-minded.
He's your everyday man.
He's basically a Vogon of Earth. But then when they go to that bar, you also see, shut up. They also see bar. They also
we elongate our R's.
It's true,
over here in the
we're basically Ireland,
filthy pirates.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, we are.
Right down that woman. That, speaking of fucking pirates, that woman who's sitting there just staring at them. That woman, when they're in the bar scene and there's just a woman in the background just staring at Ford and Arthur as they're having a conversation about how they have to leave, and she's just staring. That's like, you've seen that barfly before, who just doesn't
the
really
tranquilized people who are
wants like some sort of stimuli, so they're gonna pay attention to the most interesting thing.
People
watching.
Yeah. I love people watching.
That's a Halifax. I think I knew that woman in Halifax as a regular at like Gus's pub.
Man, yeah, yes, he is one of them. I didn't really consider that, but yeah, he is beaten down by life. But I mean, he's passionate about his home, but he's also lazy. He
likes tea.
Clearly,
he loves tea. He loves tea even more in the book.
Well, if you're in a stressful situation and you can't have your favorite vice, you're gonna lose your gosh darn mind.
That's true. That's true.
Do you know how much damage you would do to this bulldozer? None at all.
None at all.
He goes, how much?
Yeah.
How much?
None at all.
None at all. You're an insignificant human. And I love the juxtaposition. It's not really a juxtaposition. It's more like it's a framing device that's like, his house is getting demolished, but also the intergalactic construction crew is going to demolish Earth. So when Ford comes up and is like, Ford comes up and Arthur's like, my home's getting demolished. And he's like, how'd you know? How do you know that? I love that.
Yeah, it's like, extremely fun and funny. Like the entire concept is like very clever, right? Like
mirroring.
He's so concerned about something that is actually in the grand scheme of things extremely insignificant in comparison to the vastness of nothingness of space.
I agree though that beer and peanuts will stop any construction.
Yeah,
I agree
was
with
even
that.
like, man, I'll take some beer and peanuts.
I was like,
Yeah.
I was well, the first time I saw this and this time I was like, he's doing this for a reason, right? Like he's like, he'll need the salt, so it's like he's drinking it and eating it for a specific reason of which is not really explained to us.
I think, I don't remember exactly, but I think there might have been something in the book where when you're traveling, you have to have like a high salt content in your blood or something,
right?
Because I think there is a lot of stuff in this movie, since you can't, like, the book is short but it's still a book, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of shit that they had to just like truncate.
I love that shot that goes on forever, because like again, it's been almost like 15. Wait, how many years has it been? It's been almost 20 years. 17 years since this movie came out, so I haven't seen it in 17 years. And the great thing about not watching something for 17 years is most of it is gone from your head. And the shot where he's lying, where he's hitchhiking, and it goes like dun 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 dun, dun. It's like very much like a Star Wars Spaceballs, where it's like, you know, when is it going to end? It's so big. Oh my God, it's so big. But then it keeps going for even longer than you think, to the point that it stops becoming funny and you're just staring, and then it becomes funny again because it's still going.
Exactly. Almost like a Family Guy kind of thing, where they like they stretch the joke out longer, like as long as possible, and then even longer.
It's almost like rule of fours, where rule of threes is like it's funny the third time, like it's super funny but like the rule of fours, you kind of have it like not funny the third time, but when you get to the fourth, it's like twice as funny. That's a thing I've just coined. But I think Seth MacFarlane almost said that, like, the reason I make jokes until they're not funny so they can be double funny when you come back around. And it's funny you bring up Spaceballs, because I did make a note in my notes that I got a lot of Spaceballs vibes in this as well, because that might have been, at this point in history in 2005, Spaceballs was the only like weird space movie with a bunch of weird concepts like that. There aren't really like
there are other ones, but they're not as well known as this.
Yeah, they're not like cultural. Like Spaceballs was a fucking cultural
Pluto
phenomenon.
Nash. Have you seen Pluto Nash?
Pluto Nash is different though.
Is that the one with Eddie?
Have you seen The Fifth Element?
No, Damon Wayans.
No, Pluto Nash was
it's Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Oh no, Pluto Nash is. I'm thinking of Meteor Man.
That one's Damon Wayans.
No, but
Meteor Man Space? I don't think I've ever seen Meteor Man.
No, it's Robert Townsend, who's just
Damn
like
it.
a guy. Who's just a guy that was in movies. But it has like Don Cheadle and Marla Gibbs and Samuel Earl Jones.
It's me, Samuel Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones, Eddie Griffin. You know, like it's a very black movie.
Was this one of the first? So the book was years ago, right?
Like the 60s.
Is this one of the first times, like one of the first things to address us being in a simulation? So you know how Earth is the supercomputer that the Deep Thought created to simulate the answer to the question, right? Or the question to the answer, I think. So we're in a simulation, right?
Yeah. The Matrix.
I
see your theory, and I raise you the Matrix. What this is, this is one of the first movies in a very long line of them running out of movie ideas and just using all the ideas that exist in other media. I remember when this movie came out, people were like, what do you mean they're going to make a movie out of a book? And I know they've done that lots. I know that's a thing that happened a lot, but slowly, or as the years go by after this movie, you start seeing like most of like to now, and it's kind of going the other way where they're kind of trying to come up with new ideas based on old properties. But there was like this era of, they just took all of the exact things from books and comic books and put them into movies. Obviously the MCU kind of changed it a bit, because now you can just take an IP or a character and give them a new story with
intellectual property for all you viewers out there.
But for all you viewers, did you call all of our viewers
Oh my god.
stupid?
Okay, I gotta go ahead and say, like, listen, the Harry Potter movies came out before. The reason this movie was made is because of Harry Potter. Not this movie didn't really start a revolution of any sort.
But
The
no,
Harry Potter movie.
Well, it
agree,
had
but-
radio. It had like a TV show and a radio show or something, right?
Well,
Yeah, because
that
it's a
is
beloved
80s
book
TV
series, right? Like, yeah, so like the books I think came out in the 70s, like late 70s, I believe, is when they were
I think
published.
so.
No,
And,
I
like-
think I think it was the 60s.
Let me just double.
Sorry, but you know what I mean. Like the trend. This was part of
It
that.
was published
trend.
in 79.
Oh,
Right.
because the TV show is 1981, so they wrote
79.
Well, yeah, because it was immediately popular. Like it was something that came out, like the Harry Potter phenomenon, where like that came out, and the first book was just for some reason super duper popular, and you can't even really explain why. Like
Right
there's been
moment,
books
right,
about wizards
the right
forever.
moment, right time.
people
Yeah,
wanted
exactly.
a new kid series. There hadn't been a kid series in a minute since like Goosebumps, really.
Yeah, but the Harry Potter movies really sort of proved to like the viability to Hollywood that like, oh, children's books can also be made into movies. And
Yeah.
you know, Lord of the Rings came out earlier than that, but like Lord of the Rings isn't really a kid's book.
I think there was
Like,
a
kids can't
cartoon
read it.
version, wasn't there?
There was a
Yeah, there's
cartoon
a
Hobbit and a
shitty-
cartoon. Yeah, they're just
Shitty.
bad. Yeah.
I think there's a Lord of the Rings as well from the 80s.
There is, yeah.
cartoon.
I've seen
That
both of them.
suck. And there's a video game based on Lord of the Rings for Super Nintendo that is also fucking god awful, but follows the story of the
But
the
like you're
Philosopher's
also you're also right about like this weird sort of like Hollywood barfing out just everything. Like it just was like a floodgate opened up after Harry Potter, and like this is something that came out of it that is actually quite great, and I'm glad that floodgate was open, because you can pick through the corpses after everyone's drowned and be like, oh, look at this beautiful corpse. But like none of these other than Harry
This
Potter,
one
none of
isn't
these,
that waterlogged yet.
but there are more books in the series, right? And they didn't make a sequel to the movie, and they don't plan on it.
I
and they're-
assume this book kind of encompassed bits and pieces from all of the books as
well,
well.
I've never read the book, so I can't speak to it, but I think that one of the books is called The Restaurant at the End of the Galaxy, and that's what they're talking about going to at the end of the movie. So I'm like, I assume there's more to the story that I don't know about. But like, do you remember those Aragon movies? It was like a series of dragon books, like some 19-year-old kid wrote them and got super famous for his great books. But then they made the first movie, and it was like, remember it was one of the first times that ever in a movie I was like, are we allowed to leave? Like, do I have to stay? Can I just go? And we did. We left like halfway through this movie because I was like, I can't watch this shit.
They've
man.
tried
It's the worst shit.
and failed. It's like after Harry Potter and Twilight, it seemed like people were just writing books that they were like, please. They even make a joke about it in the office because Pam is like, I'm writing this book about this girl who goes home and finds a unicorn or fucking whatever, and she's a unicorn girl, and it was sort of like lampooning the fact that people were just writing garbage all through the 2000s and with the intention of getting their, Hunger Games was a success. There's for every Hunger Games, there's a fucking Maze Runner.
But Maze Runner also got made into a successful series of movies.
But not at
it
the
was
level.
okay.
I know it's not
Aragorn,
the
I
level,
guess.
but like you're using an example of something that is also like proven that it like was, there's like Divergence. That one was like, this is the next Maze Runner, guys, and then it was like, no, let's shoot this
but
thing.
You know what I mean, right? Like
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
was the time when. But my point about this movie is it comes from a time where they were just trying to put Hollywood ran out of ideas, and they were doing the press. They're putting books and IPs that already exist.
Well, you would get
because
hired,
once they got a bite,
you would get paid as an author for your book, your film rights to your book, before you're even done the book. Like they would just be like, oh, this seems like kids will probably fucking salivate over this shit, so we'll pay you now to finish this book, and then there are probably like warehouses full of movie titles for books that like are flooded through bookstores that do well as novels but haven't been made into movies, right?
Do we know why they never made Restaurant at the End of the Galaxy with the same cast? Because
this movie didn't do well.
No, because it does have the little teaser at the end, and the next story is Restaurant at the End of the Galaxy. And I remember after watching this movie, I was like, oh man, they're gonna do that next. Nothing. And then everybody in this movie went on to become mega actor stars. Martin Freeman did The Office around this time. Zooey Deschanel became the pixie wonder girl of the 2000s. Sam Rockwell has been in so many
Sam
amazing
Rockwell's
movies.
awesome.
This is like one of his
him
weaker
and
performances because
But it
because
was also
this
the
wasn't
peak.
weak at all.
This was like the peak of his powers, though. This is when he was like the most famous, like in his entire career, right? The late 90s, he was like a tertiary actor and stuff. And this is like when he
this
was
is like his
finally.
stardom.
I remember when seeing the trailer for this, and I was like excited that Sam Rockwell was in it. I was like, Sam Rockwell, I love him. I'm like, why do I love him? I don't know. Galaxy
yeah.
Quest.
No,
Also
man,
Galaxy
you got
Quest.
Green Mile, you got fucking Matchstick Men, you got Welcome to Collinwood, Ontario.
All movies I would not have had seen at this point in my life when Hitchhiker's Guide came out.
Moon, I think that was like 2009.
Oh, Moon was actually really good.
Moon's great. If you haven't seen Moon, Sam Rockwell basically just does one
Hey,
of those
did you
like,
see that one?
hey, did you see this one? He basically does one of those like he's the only actor in the movie for fucking 90 minutes and kills it.
Anyway, the point that I'm making there about Sam Rockwell is that like this movie wasn't meant to springboard him in any way. He was already the reason he got cast for this is because he's fucking dope.
It's
and
true,
then John Malkovich is just like always.
Well,
John
Malkovich was John
weirdo.
Malkovich
They're like, we need a
point.
weirdo. What weirdo do we want in this role?
I just found that he was one of his I know in the book he's like that character is wacky and weird. Mm-hmm. I just thought that it was probably very easy for it wasn't his range allows him to do this very easily. So I didn't think it was a great performance just because I don't like the character that much. It's a better literary character to read him being wacky than to like see it.
Well, if you can have you ever seen the movie The Gentleman Bronco? It's like made by the guy.
The Gentleman Bronco? No, it's got Tremaine from
yes, it does.
Flight of the Conchords, right?
You don't even have to finish.
It's the guy, the guy who made Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre and all that. It's like very much in that sort of like
it's like an adult feuding with a
tourist
high school kid, right?
It's it's a kid goes to a literary camp where it's like a creative writing camp, and you're meant to write a short story, and then the professor, or he's not a professor, but he's like a famous novelist, who's got all these like sort of famous science fiction novels, reads them, and then he picks a winner. And he tells the kid that it's like the worst story he's ever read and it's terrible, but then he steals it, publishes it. Yeah. But he's like rewriting it slightly. So it's like a little bit different. He's like, Bronco, I can do better. And he like deletes it. And he's like, Broncanus. Just like changes it to Broncanus. But it's Sam Rockwell in that movie it's almost like this character with a little bit more toned down at points, and then like jacked up even further at other points. And it's super fun because, there's the real world that's happening during that film, but then there's also the narrative of the two different versions of this science fiction movie that are told to us visually. And Sam Rockwell plays both Bronco and Broncanus in the two different versions.
Oh,
like one of them
nice.
is like, he's basically like this sort of like gender fluid like android man, and the other one he's like like a crazy like machine gun guy riding a saber tooth. It's like
I can't believe I've never seen that. That's one of those like I always meant to watch and just never like got around to it.
We got to put it on the list.
Even before I did my like get into movies thing in 2020, I still watched a lot of movies, but mostly like I'd watch whatever, the new Wes Anderson or the new comedy from like the Seth Rogen crew or the new like absurd comedy from like, or the new like it was a lot of comedy. And that would always come up on the docket. And for whatever reason, I just never got around to it.
You should watch the trailer because it will probably make you want to watch it.
Yo, Monday night.
True. Yeah. I'll try to remember it. I did.
What was the significance of the beer? Why did Ford like drinking beer so much?
I assumed that he was doing it because he needed it for some purpose when he was, or maybe he just wanted to be drunk when he had to do this extreme
desensitized.
Mission. Yeah. There could be any answer to that question, and the smart thing the movie does is not answer it for us, so that we're kind of like, maybe it just makes him more relatable to us as human beings, being like humans like beer.
I did like his line about time is illusion, lunchtime doubly so. And that line really stuck with me because my work shift is like an evening shift. I work 2 to 10, but I call my second meal lunch. even though it's not at noon. I call it lunch because
Oh
it's
yeah,
the second
I worked
meal.
a midnight shift where my lunchtime was 1:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
and I still called it
Oh
lunch.
shit!
Yeah, I'm not
Well,
like
that's close
I'm
to 12,
taking
it's close to
twilight meal now, like eating a grilled cheese sandwich.
I looked up just to give us a reminder of the beer thing, and literally all he says is beer is a muscle relaxant, and they're going it isn't a blood thing, like it's not a deeper theory. It's literally like get drunk because we gotta fucking get out of here on a shady teleporter into a weird spaceship.
Oh, so it makes the teleportation, the hitchhiking.
Nope, not
makes
even that deep. Just literally your earth beer makes you drunk. You're gonna need
So
to
you
be
don't
drunk
care.
to see what you see next, because it's
Yeah.
you know when Neo goes into the Matrix for the first time and comes out and pukes, or when he
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like
He
it's
can't
that kind of
handle it.
thing. Yeah, you're gonna want to be drunk to see your own planet with your own eyes.
That's a good
And
point.
also the
I like
travel,
that.
the travel, the travel.
The travel. Yes. The big long opening scene. That's what I was. We went fell down quite a rabbit hole there. And then they end up on the ship, and I have to say, like the poetry stuff is fun, but like the most fun is just the crazy monster design, right? And that's like kind of the purpose of this whole month is June Henson, crazy Muppets and monsters. And
the character design for the Vogons is so good that they look. I wrote down that they look like a literary painting. If that makes sense, like they look like
They're
an
based
image.
on a cartoon. They're based on
the
a political
cartoon. Well,
cartoon.
in the book, as I recall, the Vogons aren't as descript. Like they're not described the same way. They're just kind of green beings that are dickheads.
Yeah.
But in this, they look like Jim Henson creations, and they look like I actually watched this movie in like high def, and I was just in awe of these faces because they were so expressive.
Yeah, the articulation is out of control.
It's next level future.
Did they enhance it with
puppeteering.
CGI? Like, was it?
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out, and I don't.
In this
one,
practical plus.
So I don't think so, and I looked it up and I couldn't find.
To look close.
There's probably clean, like this is when they started doing cleanup stuff, but it's also in the era where if they were like to add digital like corner eye fixes, you would probably notice it, right? Like you would be
because
able to tell.
There is some CGI in this that is pretty fucking bad. The head on Zaphod's neck did not age well.
When he does the Hawaiian dancing thing.
Well, that was actually.
Well, he has a second head, right?
But when he goes like that and shows his neck head, I hated.
It's very like
it did look, but you could tell.
It reminds me of like the bad clone troopers in episode 3, where they're just like digitally putting a human head on like a digital body, and you're like, why not just make a suit of armor,
then,
guys?
but then speaking of that, when John Malkovich turns into the robot and he's walking by,
the spider legs,
they clearly
or whatever they are.
spliced the screen halfway. Like it looked like 2005.
I didn't notice that, but when he takes the glasses off, I was like, I like it, but at the same time, it looks really bad. Like it does really not look good.
There was a weird period between like 1998 and 2006 or 7 where like the CGI got better, but when you look back at it 15 years later, it like some of it just grating to the eyes. The Fifth Element's an example where there's little bits that are bad and then a lot of stuff you don't notice.
Oh god, but then Fifth Element is a painful one to go back
to. When you go into space,
Fifth Element's so good.
I love the movie. I love the movie, but the CG in that movie is no good. Not good at all.
And when we're watching The Cell, The Cell was another one with really fucking bad CGI. Still a good movie.
So
like we give these things a pass because they're in the era where they were still figuring things out, and at the time it was blowing people's minds, right? They're like, holy, did you see that horse got chopped up into little slips of horse meat?
Like the dogs in Resident Evil when they get like lasered, that looks so bad now.
I mean, Resident Evil also not a great
I mean, it's a schlocky B movie. Like it's a.
I would definitely do that movie on the show because I do like it. But
I would do a Resident Evil month. Honestly, I love Resident Evil so much. Yeah, let's just.
That might be too much. That might be an overload.
For Halloween this year, we're gonna do the first 4.
Also, we'd have to do like 2 full months if we're gonna do all of them.
Here's a musical question. So when we meet Arthur. Ford comes in. They have the highway, and then they have the space expressway. They zoom out with the music beats. Do 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 do.
Yes.
And then
Earth gets destroyed.
And that looked dope too. Like when all those little things were.
For that the explosion. Sorry, we'll get back to your musical question in just a second. I just want to comment on
before
we pass it.
Yeah. Do you think?
The explosion? You know, like you're expecting something crazy and like a massive like Star Wars like a ring going off of it, and then it just kind of has this sort of like like it's kind of just like anticlimactic, and it's so good that like. You know, that is our planet, human beings. We know nothing else in the galaxy. It literally means everything to us, and it can just be erased with a little. It was great. Sorry, continue.
The what's it called when you it's like a psych out or whatever? What's that called again?
A mind freak.
It subverts your expectation. Subvert.
That's the word. Yeah, exactly. But then it gets into the actual the title sequence or whatever of the movie.
We get a beautiful banjo.
Right. Okay. So that was banjo or guitar or whatever. That riff. I don't know why, but for some reason I thought of Pink Floyd.
Oh, it's an Eagles song. It's an Eagles song called "Journey of the Sage" or "The Wizard" or "The Sorcerer" or something. Yeah. And then the beginning. The beginning of that song is more or less unchanged, but then. And it's pretty much that song, but they kind of enhance and they add the what's that instrument called where you play it with your hand, electric?
Oh, the air one,
theremin.
The
theremin. Theremin.
They add a little theremin in there, and you're like, oh, sci-fi, because the theremin is literally just the music of sci-fi, right? We can all agree.
I agree with that.
Yeah, no, it's an Eagles song, and I remember when I first saw the movie, I was like, what is that song? I want to download the soundtrack just for that opening.
Thanks for all the fish.
No,
I'm not really a big fan of that.
I like
the
that
dolphin.
I like that whole shit.
If the movie ended just one last wish, I would like a tasty fish.
I love it. Because it's in the spirit of the movie. I think to have
it is
have
it
because
that doesn't mean I gotta like it.
I know that's true, but I personally like that kind of like let's go out to the kitchen and get ourselves a snack kind of movie feel.
Hey, welcome to the movies. No, I mean I don't listen. I don't hate it. I just it was like I remember being like, what the fuck am I watching right now? Where they're like doing flips and everything. Also in that opening where they're showing all the SeaWorld footage, I was like, is this real SeaWorld footage? Because if so, did all of these people that are being shown, the narrators literally the narrator is calling people horrible, gross, stupid idiots, and it's like showing a kid like drinking from like a big gulp or whatever, and you're like, well, did that kid know that he was going to be focused in on and called
it might have been footage they made for the movie.
That's what I hope. I don't know the answer, and I'm like, if it is just random footage of SeaWorld that they bought, like that.
This movie ruined some kid's life.
Imagine going to see the movie and then seeing yourself as the narrator is calling you a
hey, it's
stupid
me
idiot while you're drinking like a big nasty SeaWorld drink.
Also, SeaWorld's like mostly shut down. Like if you go to SeaWorld now, it's like just dolphins, I assume.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you can steal footage of the overweight kid and call him an idiot.
That
kid could have loved the Hitchhiker's Guide series.
SeaWorld is
he's so excited to see the movie, and he's like, oh god, my heart.
Remember the movie Free Willy where that fucking shot that whale onto the moon?
Yeah,
that was South Park.
I think that's the second one.
That was a South Park episode.
That was Free Willy Goes to Space.
Fly? It's a good movie.
The saying the quiet part loud when the music stops trope made me laugh. Like they did it well. You know what I mean? When he's talking to Trisha.
I made a note about that because Martin Freeman was on the British Office, which is even more awkward and harder to like watch than the American Office ever was, even in the first season. Not hard to watch, just like hard to watch in that like the awkwardness of it is very hard for a lot of people to digest, and that was a trope. because of the British office, that became a trope in the early 2000s, where you would have those kinds of moments in a lot of movies. What were you gonna say about the music cuts out and the person he calls everybody idiots?
No, it's just a trope. Like it's a trope, but they did it. I felt they did it well.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, it's insofar as they did the trope, but there's a couple moments in this that were early 2000 trope. That was one of them. The other one is something that I like, and that's just chaos humor, where there's so many things happening. It's just fucking chaos. That makes me laugh. One of my favorite tropes in any media is just when there's 7 things happening at the same time, very chaotic energy. And that happens in this movie a couple times. I love it.
What else do you love?
Well, the airlock scene is amazing. That's what I was trying to get to. Like the poetry.
The
stuff.
airlock.
Yeah, the
when
poetry.
They first get captured.
The poetry stuff was like, great, and just the microphone.
What is he doing? What is he doing?
After they
what is he doing?
Shot of the airlock, and the narrator is like, humans can have
what are
one
you doing
lung
with
of,
your hand?
one lung of air. I'm explaining.
You guys are both talking at the same time, and no one can understand either of you.
Okay, they get shot of the airlock, and the narrator is like, the average human can have one lung of air before they expire, and the odds of getting saved in that one lung of air is like made as a math problem.
I thought you were supposed to get rid of all the air if you want to survive.
No,
in the
you
vacuum
need air
of space.
to survive. You need oxygen to survive.
No.
Anyway,
no.
my point is,
I know
the
you
thing
need
that,
air to survive, but I thought in the vacuum of
Caleb.
space you have to get rid of the air.
You're wrong. So the thing that I'm doing with my hand.
Am I? I'll Google it.
Do it. You actually Google something. So what I'm saying is.
Did I just get burned?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is the scene that I like there is them floating upwards in like far out in space, and it's clearly like just a still image of them zoomed way
and they're
out.
moving it.
And they're just moving, and
Oh. Well,
sorry, Steve, you were
that's
saying?
reductive to the amazing scene before it where they're in the airlock and like they're like, we're dead. And he's like, no, we're not dead yet. And then he's like, maybe if and he's like hitting all these buttons and like spinning, and then he's like, what's this?
What does this do?
He's like, oh no, that's nothing. Yeah, we're dead. And you expect the door to like blast open and them get like shot out, they just fall through the floor. It's like amazing timing. Every single part of it is like, well, it's all one shot, and it's like a boring sort of like a medium long shot of just their full bodies and them staring at each other. It's so well done. Like that is the moment where the movie begun for me, and I was like, I'm in. This is good. This is very funny. I like this.
Well, the Home Alone of it, I would say, is
when's it hit? When's the Home Alone hit?
I think the Home Alone of it isn't when they leave Earth. I think it is more when they get onto Zaphod Beeblebrox's ship.
Right.
And the crew comes together and they start going on misadventures. Because as I was watching this, it's very old looking now, and it looks a lot like modern, like old movies look like what modern TV look like now, because the technology has like they just use it for TV now. This show or this movie would make such a dope modern show, just like a lower budget, but on Disney, so the budget's even like movie level,
movie quality TV show. Yeah,
you know, I think Steve is having this problem with Obi-Wan right now, where it looks kind of cheap.
Steve, I'll join you for the
next
episode.
It looks kind of cheap for how like monumentous of an occasion it is. This would be a dope Obi-Wan would be a dope movie. I think originally it was just going to be a movie. I think that was the intention. But then, the Disney Plus came along, and the Marvel shows are successful.
They're making everything TV shows.
A series of
Star
Wars shows are successful.
Like,
you make more money.
We want to explore the character a little bit more, and like you didn't really get a ton of time to explore Obi-Wan in the 3 movies that he was in, because there was so much other shit happening in the galaxy.
It was more about like the disarray of the fucking.
Yeah, and I think that they wanted to do like sort of an in-depth character analysis of Obi-Wan, but I mean, for me, like I'm really enjoying the show, and that's because I just love the character. I love Ewan McGregor, and I love Star Wars, so it's like, I can overlook any sort of the nitpicks that most people are having with it. But
I thought it started strong and then hit a bit of a lull coming out of episode 2 through episode 3, and then episode 4 and on has been
no lull for me, only love.
I
No
also
lulls,
had
only
no
lows.
lulls. The episode I watched,
That
The one that I watched, like the third one, didn't even have to see the first two,
That's
and
true.
I was sold.
Just like the regular Star Wars. I've
Yo,
only seen Return of the Jedi. No, it's not true. It's not true. I've seen it all. And I'll let Gord sort them out. I've seen them all and let Steve sort them out.
the fact that they made a torture thing that is that can accommodate a child. Ooh.
That's also the thing that they put Ray in an episode.
Oh right. Okay. I was like, are we talking? Which movie are we talking about? We're talking about the show. Okay.
That's
Let's get back to the movie. We'll talk about Obi-Wan on the Obi-Wan show.
One thing I got to say about this movie that made me be like, I want to assume it's intentional. So Marvin, and he made a comment where his brain is the size of a planet or some shit like that, and he's super depressed or whatever, right? And it just kind of made me think about how when the more you know, the more depressed you are.
It's
you know
a very
good
like, it's a very good allegory for like if a robot was really real and was sentient, they would be fucking so sad because they would look at humans and be like, you don't know
you're wasting it, all of it.
I thought that was and have Alan Rickman as the voice, as the most bummed out.
Such a good voice, so good. He killed it.
I understand people love, like, this is a beloved character and everybody loves him. I found it got a little bit tired for me, and pretty quickly, where I'm like, anytime he's about to talk, I'm like, okay, he's gonna say something.
He had a joke. He did have a joke.
His whole existence is a joke. That's the point of his character.
No. When I forget someone said something about freeze, and he's like, "I'm a robot, not a refrigerator."
Yeah, is it like
right
at
the
the beginning?
Bother? Yeah,
he's I do like a bummed out robot character though.
Well, he's like a robot Eeyore, right? Like
that's
like his whole deal.
Eeyore, good call, good call.
Well, I made that call, but you guys are talking over me, so.
Oh, my bad, Jay.
You know, nobody respects me, and they don't get any respect. Need to get closer to I don't get any respect.
Yo, put some P on that. Just because you're talking doesn't mean we're talking over you. Maybe you were talking over us.
Hey, I don't get any respect over here. My eyeballs. I'm talking here.
You know what?
Yo, is this guy boring you? You want to see my spaceship?
Dude, that bugged me. I have questions about the relationship between, is it Trisha?
Yeah.
/ Trillian.
Trisha and Zaphod Beeblebrox.
Because it's more spacey.
Did they go to space and like space bang, or
she's not trying to fuck him? She just wants to see.
That's what I'm wondering, because this is very like
they definitely have been having sex. It's implied because they're wearing each other's underwear.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I thought that it was kind of kid coded, where it's like the sex part of it is kind of like subtracted, so you're not.
Well, it is supposed to. Like, if you are an adult watching the movie, like a child watching the movie, you can read not understand it, but an adult is like, oh, they're wearing each other's underwear. They've definitely had sex, and now they have the other person's underwear on. Like, it implies that at one point they were both not wearing underwear.
Yeah, so it's kind of a bummer for double bummer for Arthur to show up after he gets his girlfriend stolen by this two-headed freak, and then he sees that she's on this ship with him. Fuck, what a coincidence. What a coincidence.
You guys get back with her after that. That was a question.
They were never with each other. They met at a party.
No, they
weren't once.
I know. But still, like, if I was interested in a girl and then some random guy came up like, hey, you want to see my spaceship? And then she goes with him. I don't know. Maybe it's a fault of me, myself. What's the word I'm looking for? Not
incel behavior.
What's the word I'm looking for? No. Not there's a word. Not vengeful, not I wouldn't be able to. Vindictive. That's a good word.
Sure. Yeah. Is it the one you're looking for? I don't know which one you're looking for.
No, it's not the word I'm looking for.
Okay, so why don't you explain what you're feeling then, instead of trying to find a specific word?
So I would feel hurt that she chose someone else over me, and then I wouldn't I wouldn't pursue it after that.
Do you want to hear something that I was
What?
thinking the whole time that would lessen the blow on that though? He does come up and have the flashy line that's like, "Do you want to see my spaceship?" But then he gets onto that spaceship and he sees he sees Zaphod Beeblebrox just acting like a lunatic. I don't think that they had really had any real like emotional connection. She just liked going through space and having this space
But she also says as much, right? Like she's
the president.
The whole scene where they're in the kitchen is meant to be a visual explanation of that, right? Like
also, can we actually make a butter knife that toasts toast? Can we do that?
It probably already exists.
Yeah, probably existed in the 60s and failed. And
they're like, oh, it burned down several homes.
Sorry, Steve, what were you saying?
The whole kitchen scene is meant to represent that exact thing, where it's like she is not here because of him. She's here because I am on a space adventure. This is sick. Like, look at everything around us. I can put my head in this machine and it makes a donut because that's what I was thinking about. I can use this little lightsaber to cut a piece of bread and it toasts it for you. You don't have to use a toaster. Toasters don't exist in space. And like, there's probably like that little moment there is meant to like show the tiniest little thing that she is experiencing and how awesome it is in just the kitchen of this spaceship that is taking them wherever the hell they want to go.
But and we're brought back to Earth, no pun intended, when literally Earth is destroyed and she finds out. You see how she like sinks. She wants to go back to a familiar home, but then a familiar home is created. She just wants to go back to space. So who knows what women want, you know?
Well, that's the one thing in my brain at the end where I'm like, do all the people come back? Like,
they do, because they immediately just flip back. It's like, it's basically the Thanos.
Yeah, how did they make them?
They snap them back like Thanos with his glove.
I am Iron Man. That's how.
Bill Nighy comes in and just creates existence somehow. They're basically gods, and he's like, well, they're not gods. It's like, you built this? He's like, well, I didn't build all of it.
I made Earth like half like in a factory and half like with my mind. Just like,
you're familiar with the Netherlands. I worked on
that's the one, Netherlands. Yeah.
I love Bill.
I hear the Netherlands are nice this time of year.
I mean, probably they have the same climate that we do.
It is summertime.
Yeah, they have it's the same climate, Kaylin. It might be a little colder because it's a little further
it
north.
Sucks here. It's so fucking humid here. I don't know, but you guys are dry. Ontario's dry, right?
We're going through the most humid snap I've ever experienced here, and the only thing I can do to get away with it is go to my walk-in fridge of a bedroom that we have a $500 fucking AC unit built into the fucking wall.
Well, that's where you sleep, so that's a good place to have it.
Yeah, but our last apartment was like, it had central air, and in the summertime it was temperate, and in this wintertime it was temperate, and we moved into this fucking heat box. And
you're losing a lot of weight?
No, because that's not how you lose weight, Kaylin. Sweat, you don't lose weight through your sweat. You lose weight through eating right and breathing. Your air has the
what about that water weight?
That's different. That's water weight.
So the movie that we're watching is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Just to go back to that for 1 second, the misconception is that when you sweat, you lose weight. Basically, your sweat is just like the moisture in your body, getting rid of toxins and getting rid of and cooling down your body. That's the misconception. Right. You don't lose weight by sweating. That's what workout. You can't just work out and get fit. You have to work out and eat right.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can't eat shit and
I challenge that.
Lift some weights and be like, now I'm healthy.
Well, your metabolism hasn't.
This guy.
Your metabolism, you're like in your 30s and your metabolism hasn't clicked over yet. I used to be.
I'm a late bloomer, Jason.
And in my 20s, I could slam down on some McDonald's for hours and not get fat. And then I turned literally 29.
Teen burgers. When they had 2 teens for $6, I eat 6 of them.
You're a maniac.
I love teen burgers.
You've got the
I love A-Dub.
What's that superhero? You're like the Flash. Doesn't the superhero need like 30,000 calories a day? The superhero?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Hello, I am the superhero.
I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about what you were talking about, Kaylin, where he is acting insane for a person that has only known somebody for a party, like, and then to be like, yeah, so this guy's a real piece of work, huh? Well, what else do you guys share? And like he's like saying all these
Super
really
jealous,
weird passive aggressive comments that are like bordering on actually aggressive, and she is doing her best to shake it off, right? Like the entire time, and she finally just says like, can you fucking chill out, man?
Might be a
Like,
symptom of the writer. Like it might, Douglas Adams comes from a different time kind of thing. And if this movie was done now, it wouldn't just be like Ford Prefect is a black man. Check this out. It'd be the gender role stuff would be a little bit different. It wouldn't be so like it wouldn't be Arthur Dent getting all fucking bent out of shape about meeting a girl at a party.
And also, you know, we have to give it a break because it is a movie and like it's meant to be fun, and like you have to create these sort of foils within relationships in order to have the relationship mean anything at the end.
I did think it was like a weird, it's like the way my brain works now, the way that things like media works now, where you know you don't have a damsel in distress anymore really, but seeing her like being like dragged and bound and like, you know, there's a scene where like she's on the Vogan planet and she's like, they're like dipping her in shit and they're about to kill her and they're like interrogating her, and I'm like, this, like, it's so fucking weird to see that because it was 2005 and the damsel in distress trope was still very, very real and happened in everything.
Yes,
you don't get the man.
I will say though, this is like it's not as bad as a lot of.
No, she's a very
strong
female. She's a very strong female character.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But they're also taking the scenario of the damsel in distress, and they're like, what is the funniest way that we can have them solve this without them being literally showing up with guns, which they try to do, and then they have to end up signing it. They have to fill out paperwork and shit, right? Like
twice.
Extremely funny because they're taking the thing that we all know as a trope and we've all seen a million times, and they could have had a fun action scene where they have to go through the bureaucracy with guns and deal with it that way, but them having to actually go through the fundamentals of like paperwork and stuff is funny. It is quite funny.
This isn't a presidential release.
Yeah, but that one's blue. Yeah. And like then he has to go fill out another form. Yeah, it's like very good. But you know, I think that like this movie does a lot of that where it plays with the tropes, right? They're like, what is the thing that people would expect to happen? Let's try and do something that's either similar but really different, or like the complete opposite. Yeah. And I think that it succeeds in all of those tasks. But you know, I wrote down, remember that sound effect in Dreamcatcher where he puts the hood on? Like it's in this movie. It's in the movie.
Sweet.
I found it.
They use the same stock sound effect?
Yeah, it's like a stock sound effect that's in like tons and tons of stuff, but it's when they're like the president is like breakdancing to avoid getting shot.
Oh, and like pew, pew, pew,
yeah, and everything's exploding around him, and like one of them like goes over his shoulder and hits a wall, and you just hear it like clear as day, like I was like, it's there. Nice. I have to make like a tally list now for all the movies, and like if I can find it, I'll let you guys know.
O'Connor scream or whatever it's called,
the Wilhelm scream.
The Wilhelm scream. There's like 3 of them or whatever.
There's a bazillion examples of movies that they're in, but yeah, there's like
there's 2. There's the Wilhelm scream, which is like in everything, and then there's a second one that's like the Wilhelm scream 2,
which is also used in a bunch of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'll be back in 2 seconds, gents. Keep going.
Okay.
No, we have to stop. Dead air.
No, keep going.
I think though that like, you know, when I said when they get picked up on the ship after the interaction between Martin Freeman and Zooey, that is when the movie starts to become super messy. And you know, I don't really want to say it's a negative thing because I really like the movie a lot, but like in terms of trying to follow a plot, there really isn't one.
No. It's a series of misadventures that's like,
yeah,
the book is very like
what you were saying before. You could take this movie and stretch it out into a season of television, and every episode would be a different little like.
Well, this movie would be the first season. The restaurant would be season 2, and they would just, you know what I mean, like do what they do. What they're gonna do probably with what they did with Game of Thrones ish. Well, actually, I guess that was just what they did with Game of Thrones ish. What they're going to end up doing with The Last of Us, that'll probably be, you know, The Witcher is sort of, they did like The Witcher 1 and a bit of.
You're just gonna name shows?
Well, books that are made into TV shows where they go, the events happen sort of in order of the books,
right? But
slash other media.
I think the main difference that I was trying to point out was that in this movie specifically, like all of those little snippets, those little, like, they're like micro movies within the movie, right? Like they go to the slap face planet. That could be an entire episode of them going through the bureaucracy. The going to John Malkovich's planet and having to get the gun can be its own episode. Like these things all feel very segmented, and they don't feel like they are, you know, the natural progression of a story in a traditional sense. It seems like they're going from event to event. And like I was saying about the sexy party book that I wrote when I was in university, it's like that, where it's like you are forced to write something in a specific parameter, and then the next thing almost has nothing to do with it, but there is a bridge, but it's like it doesn't necessarily need to be a sturdy bridge built on the foundations of classical storytelling. It's just, you just have to bridge it, and you can. And that's how this movie felt from scene to scene for me. It was like, how do we get them here now? Okay, this thing happens, or they just pop over into this thing and now they're there. And it, like, I think that, yeah, the natural sort of like existence of this story would be an episodic television show, like a Doctor Who or something like that, you know, like where everything would be a contained story.
I think that we should maybe not do like a retrospective, but I would like to watch the Hitchhiker's TV show and see, like, compare and contrast almost. Like maybe as an aside, not like a, hey, did you see this one episode, but maybe as like a, hey, did you
bonus
see...
features.
The fuck? The disembodied voice here.
Bonus features. Oh my god, there's a demon. The bonus features demon is back.
Caitlin, are you pooping on stream?
No, I'm pouring
bonus
drink.
features.
I've got a question from Ultra Pikey, but it's gonna happen probably after the conversation about this movie, because it's a pretty good question. But yeah, no, I'm very interested in the 1981. The book has been out for a couple of years, TV show, probably from the BBC, probably filmed and looks like,
it would probably be fun to watch. Yeah,
probably looks like Doctor Who, you know, visually.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you know, I'm not super Doctor Fu. It's me, Dr. Fu.
Hello, it's
is that
me,
the guy with
Dr.
the muscle pads?
Dr.
Fu? Yeah. Oh, like the ones that jolt your arm or whatever. I don't remember what his name was, but it might be. Sorry, I'm not a huge Doctor Who person, but I do have several friends that are like, even
I know
Danny is like super into.
I know what the Daleks are. Doctor Who makes me kind of like, I don't like high sci-fi really, but like Doctor Who makes me kind of uncomfortable because of how I am with spoilers and completing things. I tried to watch like the reboot season and I like just didn't like it. And I feel like that's where you're supposed to start with this new Doctor Who. But then in my head, I'm like, but they're making references to the old Doctor Who. And fundamentally, do you know what's going to probably always keep me from watching Doctor Who from the beginning? Like multiple episodes died in a fire. There was a fire in a warehouse at the BBC, and it, like, several episodes just don't exist anymore because they got burned in a fire. So nobody can truly ever see every episode if you're trying to watch it. I think the
one thing that's stopping me is that there are too many. There are too many of them. I wish.
Is that the thing from Community?
Well, Professor Space. I was just about to bring that up. Professor Space Time is the parody.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna.
Oh my god, Doctor Who is coming in his police booth to arrest all of us for not liking Doctor Who.
I think that I've covered all of my notes except for the subplot about the mice, I guess, and I think I've covered everything else. So if you guys want to, take
the mice stuff is like, I mean, when it comes to like.
These mice are through the whole movie. They keep making references.
I mean, it's not like it's a crazy reveal at the end.
It's not
like they visually are telling you right away, being like, "This is them." Here you go.
But the way that I forgot about this, I forgot about that. The way that it ends, and I thought that they were gonna like reveal something about like the mice come from Earth, and then they end up doing like the frogs in Australia on The Simpsons kind of a thing, and then they take over. But like, obviously I
Or
would
they're there to
remember
study
that.
us. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I had forgotten about that too, but as soon as I saw the mice, I'm like, oh wait, I think that there's something weird, like they're actually like superior beings to us or something strange. Like
also, how
but
does Arthur just Hulk Hogan out of the fucking what at the end when he's got they're like, we need your brain. And he's like, okay, great, delightful tea. Wait a second, you need my what? And they're like, we need your brain to complete the ultimate question. And he's like, oh no, you didn't. And he Hulk Hogan's out of the chair. And I was like, how did you Hulk Hogan?
well, he rips off
shackles?
one arm of a chair. I'm sure
But
I
also,
could do that if I had to.
I was
If
gonna
it was
answer
like a
my
shitty old chair.
Adrenaline. It was adrenaline and angst.
I was going to answer my own question there and just say probably because mice fucking made the shackles.
That's a good answer.
Well, I don't think the mice made it. I think it was the people building the planet that did it.
And they were the shrunken down versions of those 7 million year old kids that asked the original question.
Yeah, I also am like, I wonder if in the book it is like they were squished in a really gross manner, and then like in the movie they were like, how do we do this without it being horrifying? We'll just make them Looney Tunes flattened.
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles flattened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm out of notes. And it's also Kaylin, you're the boss here. I don't know.
Yeah, we're almost there. I have there was a scene, or not, it's not a scene. There's a background action in a scene that hit me in my feels or whatever. I don't remember exactly. I'm not sure if it's when I think it's on the Vogon's planet, and it's like it's panning to like where they're going, and as it's panning, there's a bus stop with a Vogon, and then a Vogon bus like drives past it and like doesn't stop for him or it or whatever or them, and that happened to me before. I remember one time, so I used to take the bus back in the day, and there was this one time I'm standing at the bus stop, like I'm right there. It's daytime. It's like noon, like, you know, clear as day. I'm there being a good little citizen, waiting for the bus, and the bus just drives right on by.
Yep.
And
Halifax bus drivers notorious for pulling that bullshit on me as well.
Might not be intentional, but it happened. And this, if I don't get this bus, I'm late for work, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I run my ass off from the stop that I was already at waiting to the next stop that they're driving to. And I magically, through the, you know, powers of whoever the fast guy is, what's that fast guy's name?
The Flash? A-Train?
No, the real life guy.
Usain Bolt?
Yeah, that guy. Through the powers of him, I get to the next bus stop as it's pulling up at the bus stop. Like I cut through a red light. I do a little zigzag around traffic. I get to the bus stop. I get on the bus. I'm out of fucking breath because I ran my ass off. And at the time, the bus cost $2. I didn't feel like paying them $2 because I didn't feel it was fair for me to pay $2 for a bus that I had to run after when I was already at the stop to be picked up at. And then the bus driver got pissed off at me. He's like, well, you got to pay or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I just ran my ass off to get here. You like, and also I couldn't, like, I'm saying it in a little more clarity than at the time. They're like, I did.
Commit to the dead.
Anyway.
Sell it.
So that was a bad bit and maybe not the most entertaining story, but it happened, and I felt it. I felt it when the bus drove past the Vogon or whatever. I felt it. It's like I felt bad for them. I felt bad. Maybe they made them late for work.
That happened to me multiple times in front of the European Pantry.
European Pantry? Where's that?
European Pantry. Oh, Windsor.
Is that an Ontario thing?
No, in Halifax. Anyway, I thought you would know immediately. Let's move on.
Where's it at?
It's on what's the street with the fish and chips place?
Agricola.
No, the other fish and chips place.
Herring Cove.
No. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. I can't
It's
remember street
Halifax. It's
names
going to
in
be a
Halifax anymore.
100,000 fish and chip places.
Fair enough.
Quibble. Bud the Spud?
Nope. Nope.
Fishy Mackenzie's. Stinky,
Yeah.
stinky?
Stinky,
Oh,
stinky.
the old winking Willie.
The old winking Willie. Yeah.
There's another little I'd like to acknowledge there's a shot that I think is a beautiful looking shot when they get to that planet with the teleportation things, and then Marvin is just like sitting there, and the framing of it and the colors, I really like that shot a lot.
Is that Martin Freeman freezing to death with
When they're like sitting there and the sun is setting or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
You guys have anything else on your list?
100% certain what that was meant to signify, other than maybe loneliness, but like I couldn't, or
Loneliness, for
a
sure,
void of like cowardice. I was trying to be like, what is this shot meant to represent? But it is a nice shot for sure. But I was like, oh, what does it mean? Why is it here?
What are you trying to tell me?
Nice. Yeah. Which a lot of this movie, there's not a lot of like, what does it mean? A lot of the time, it's like, no, it just means nothing. It's meant to be ridiculous, and that's that's the
like
fun of
literally it means this, or
like
it means exactly what you're seeing.
Yeah. And also like a lot of the little bits that are like, I assumedly would maybe be wrong, but maybe right. I don't know. The ones that they seem like they might be torn right out of the book, because it's a book written in the 70s, that they're like these jokes maybe wouldn't fly as well today as they used to. Like the ray gun that removes or like teleports a woman's undergarments a foot away from her body or whatever. And then like the scientists put it away real quickly not because they didn't like the idea, but because they didn't get invited to the parties where people's underwear was teleporting off their bodies. It's funny, but I'm like, I don't know if it's kind of weird, right?
I thought that the gun that like makes you see somebody else your point of view was an interesting concept.
Useful in every single
like if
day
it was
of
a
my
handgun, especially, you just blast whoever that you're trying to explain something to. And
I am often
do they have paintball handguns?
What?
Do they have paintball handguns?
Yes.
In real life?
But
yes.
like not like big bulky with a cannon.
Yes,
like,
they do. Yes.
You kind of completely cut Steve off there, buddy.
My bad, Steve.
It's okay. I was gonna say that I'm
not okay.
Okay, fine. It's not okay. Don't do it again, you son of a bitch. I was gonna say that like a gun like that would be extremely useful to a lot of people, I'm sure, but like I find myself in situations constantly where I'm really trying hard to explain something to somebody so that they can completely and unfathomably understand my perspective. And I often end up coming off as like an asshole or like a dick. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to get you to understand my perspective, but now it's becoming frustrating.
Over-explaining?
And I'm over-explaining it, and then I'm going into like too much detail on something that isn't as important as the actual bulk of what I'm trying to say. And I wish there was a gun that I could shoot people with that they would just be like, oh, and then like speak out exactly what I'm saying. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's hard.
Well, allow me to shamelessly plug, help me help you. Send me your frustrations. I will.
On Instagram. It's a thing. Kaylin has a thing on Instagram that's called Help Me Help You. He started the plug and then didn't say where to find it, which is important. Maybe I'll add it here.
Plug it.
Shameless.
It's not shameless. It's plugging isn't shameless. Kaylin, why don't you take us home, buddy?
Take us home? Okay.
I don't want to do 3 hours tonight. I want to stop this, and then I want to do an after show. Maybe watch some YouTube on stream together.
What? Yeah.
You want to do that? Are you done, Steve? Or do you want to play something?
I have a little. I made a blueprint of the skeleton of the show, and so hello everyone. Wait. No, scratch all that. So take us home. Well, yes, I will take us home, Jason. Before I take us home, I want to make a comment about one of the last lines, not like the last line, but one of the last lines in the movie that really stuck with me when Flarder Fluff, the planet builder guy, I don't remember his name.
Flarder
Oh,
Flogs.
actually, I could probably have it right here. Where's that? Starlabar Slardabustus. I can't say it. But he says, I'd much rather be happy than right.
Florida Bar Fast.
That's exactly what it is. Thank you, Stephen. But you know, the old saying, ignorance is bliss. And I agree with it to an extent. Like, you know, you can take things to extremes, but
sometimes I wish I was so fucking dumb that I just was like so blind to everything that I was just like content. You know, like you're so stupid, you're content all the time.
Exactly.
Or like, you know, put a piece of shrapnel in my brain or something and just make me be like, I don't care.
Right in your medulla oblongata so you don't feel pain of any sort, any kind of pain. Also, like pain is like mental pain is a self-made thing, sort of.
No.
Well,
I don't know if
actually
it's that simple, but we also we don't need to go into like therapeutics and stuff right now when it comes to like mental health, because I don't think any of us are professionals. We're talking about movies.
The Whale was played by Bill Bailey.
Bill Bailey is a comedian from the UK.
He does lots of funny jokes, and one of the jokes I like by Bill Bailey is where he plays the metal on the drums.
How did you guys feel?
That doesn't sound like a joke, but
oh, hey, look, it's Brian Gate and Dex Durden just joined the chat, so shout out to those boys.
What up, Brian?
And you're literally 2 hours late.
Dex Durden. Well, I think Brian was playing Sea of Thieves, which I can't blame him.
Yo, wait till I thieve your seas.
Can't do it.
You can't because it's Xbox.
If I have a rowboat and I attach it to your big boat.
Okay, Kaylin.
Take us home.
I want to do something different now with you guys, but different.
Okay, here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. Also, the plant of petunias. Not again.
Bowl of petunias.
Bowl of petunias. My apologies.
Son of a bitch.
So, okay. So let's take it home. Let's take it home to some final thoughts. I'm gonna do a quick little. I'll do a quick little final thought. I enjoyed this movie. It was fun. It was visually. I personally like practical effects. I like physical. When some like Jason, I think you might have said something about this before, where CGI dates things. You know what I mean? Like it places it in a certain era for what's available at that time. Whereas practical effects, as shitty as they might be, it's still tangible, and it just kind of elevates it, in my opinion, to a better spot than what CGI can do. At least right now, anyway. Like anytime, even really good CGI, you still know it's CGI. Whereas with practical effects, at least it's something that you can actually touch. And I personally prefer practical effects over CGI any day.
I think most people do, yeah.
As far as eco-friendly, you know, world-saving or whatever, like CGI, you know, actually, what do they do with
world-saving CGI? I don't know what that means.
No, because CGI takes like so much computer power that like it's not.
You're not like cutting down trees or making plastic or whatever.
No, but you're using energy to render like.
Okay. So I don't know.
Computer-generated images.
Fair.
Like cryptocurrency is bad for the environment because it's just literally just using power.
I thought cryptocurrency was a finite thing.
Let's not go into this.
No, let's keep going. Keep going. Sorry, I was just trying to say a thing.
So I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed the randomness, the improbability. What's the thing called again? The improbability. Anyway,
Engine.
There we go. And I give it. What do I give it?
Drive,
give
yeah.
it.
It's the drive, actually.
Drive. Yes, thank you. I give it the improbability of me becoming a bowl of petunias out of a lovely trip to the ground.
My Willow Tea Party.
I wonder if I can be
And
friends
on
with
that
the
note,
ground.
we're gonna go. We're gonna do what we did, but in reverse. So, Steve, hit us.
Right. So I think I've expressed pretty wholeheartedly throughout this discussion that I really, really like this movie a lot. When it comes to structure, which I've touched on a couple of times, I think that it doesn't really have any, which is also part of the fun, right? It's a chaotic energy that starts from the moment they knock his house down, or actually the moment that Mos Def shows up is when the chaos really begins. And it doesn't stop until the end of the movie. And there are these little moments throughout that allow you to kind of think about, oh my God, sorry, my phone is going crazy all of a sudden.
Ooh, Mr. Hollywood.
Hollywood's calling. They're like, stop the show. Little moments of humanity, which is the crux of the movie. It allows us to sort of look inward on ourselves by looking outward to the majesty of the endlessness, vastness, and beautiful creativity that comes with thinking about infinity and what could be out there, right? That's what this entire movie encapsulates in a wonderful way, is that they didn't seem to put any restraint on the creativity. It just goes throughout. And taking something from the written page of a book to a screenplay to a movie where they are literally having to come up with amazing designs, and something, you can draw a picture of something, but then when you try and make it into a puppet, it's not always going to work, or it's not going to be as interesting as the drawing that you've done. But everything in this movie is fun. Like that weird rabbit thing in the in the line that growls and you see all the teeth, and I'm like, oh, that thing is cool. I want to see more of that thing. And it kind of gives you the whole movie feels like the cantina scene from Star Wars, where you see all the crazy aliens in the cantina, and you just really want to know more about those guys. But
who shot first?
But it's happening consistently and constantly throughout the entire movie. An entire religion based on people sneezing and blowing their nose is amazing. God bless you. Bless us all, everyone. I do think that it has lots of problems when it comes to the structure of a contemporary and conventional narrative. But like we were saying earlier, I think if they were to take this movie and stretch it into a serialized show that has episodic content, it would be amazing. And I noticed in the chat, Dexterden said that he would love to see the Restaurant at the End of the Universe turned into a series as a continuation of this movie. And I think that would be amazing if they were to somehow get all the cast members back. It would probably be an amazingly difficult feat that would cost millions upon millions of dollars to get John Malkovich and Sam Rockwell.
That's only because of inflation.
Sam Rockwell and Martin Freeman are already in the MCU, so they already have Disney contracts. Zooey Deschanel hasn't done anything in a minute.
Who's Martin?
He plays
he's
Thunderbolt Ross's son.
Yeah, he's
Martin
in
Thunderbolt Ross.
He's in fucking Black Panther, and he's like a FBI agent.
Yeah,
and he does the American accent, like Benedict Cumberbatch does the American accent.
Every
hello, I am from America.
Sorry, Steve, you're doing your outro.
Well, I was pretty much wrapped up. I think it's a great movie. I haven't seen it in 17 years, and I'm glad that I watched it again. And I'm kind of glad that I waited so long, because I had completely sort of purged everything except for a lot of visual stuff from my mind. I had forgotten what the entire story was about. All of the banger jokes and visual gags that are so wonderfully orchestrated were excellent again. I can't express enough how much of a gut chuckle I had when they fell through the floor in the airlock rather than getting sucked out. It was great. But if I had to, boil it down to a rating of some sort, it's the choice between a regular prisoner release document and a presidential release document, I suppose. And
Damn
I'm
it,
gonna
you
have to
got
go
me
with the
beat.
presidential release document because this movie's good. I like it. Jason, your turn.
Here's the thing about this movie. I love it. Movie's fantastic. It's great. It's great from top to bottom. Great casting, great acting. I like movies where you get to see stars before they're big stars. So like I brought up a few times, Martin Freeman wasn't the heavy hitter that he is now, but he's the main character. He's probably like second or third build. He kills it. I love
Bilbo Baggins is what we call
They
him.
did the billing alphabetically. Just want to touch that in there.
Is Lord of the Rings. Yeah, Lord of the Rings was like 2001.
Yeah, but he didn't join until Hobbit times.
Right. Oh yeah. Anyway, my point is he was basically known for The Office at this time, and he had a bit of a pop early on because The Office was so prevalent. But the biggest thing for me was Zooey Deschanel not having her trademark bangs. Like she does have bangs,
She
but they're
had
kind of
bangs.
like they're chunky bangs. They're kind of like they're not like the. So I was making this joke to my wife that this version of Zooey Deschanel's bangs are like here, but the Zooey Deschanel that we know now, her bangs are like here. You know, like the trademark. Anyway, that's stupid. I love this movie, like I said, top to bottom. My only real criticisms are the dated CGI. And I noticed some weird inconsistencies with the when Zooey Deschanel is actually on the planet on the Zaphosphere, and she's a prisoner, her like makeup keeps changing. Sometimes she's got like a super dirty face, sometimes she's got a little dirt, and by the time they actually leave, they have that like mascara thing that looks like she's been crying. And I know that's nitpicky, but I wanted to bring it up because that was literally like the last note. It's like the only note I didn't get to talk about. And it didn't really
Continuity's hard, man.
Yeah,
But,
pick those nits.
but I'm glad that I haven't seen this movie in long enough to like forget most of it. And I give it a 4.3 out of 5. Pretty solid. Pretty
That's
solid
nice.
4.3.
Cool.
Well, on that note, I have to say,
Wait, hold on a second. Since we're
We
at the
just got a review from Dex.
yeah, since we're at the very end, I'm gonna read Dex Durden's
Review.
He's one of the
let's do
original
some.
fans.
Yeah, we'll do some viewer interaction time.
Okay, actually, here, without thinking, Ultra Pikey wants to know, collectively or individually, what would you say is the best movie of all time? And just don't even think about it, don't talk about it. I'm gonna say Apocalypse Now.
No, wait. Keep your thought. Wait. Let me think for a second.
Wait, he said don't think.
Yeah.
Oh,
Apocalypse
okay,
Now is like my favorite recent movie that I saw. Just say it, Kaylin. Just say it.
I want to
One,
say Benny
two,
and June. Like it just
boom.
every time, whenever someone asks me what's my favorite movie, it's always Benny and June.
Boom.
Benny and June is always the first
no
one.
explanations.
That comes
Steve.
Evil Dead 2.
Perfect. Okay. There you go, Ultra Pikey. I'm sorry they had to wait for so long for that answer, but I had to do it that way, or else we could do a whole podcast on what our favorite.
We wanted to make sure you stayed for the whole episode.
also that. So Dex Durden. Oh shit, Big Rugged 16 subscribed. Thanks, Big Rugged. I watched this man fucking do a subscribe-a-thon all goddamn day today, and he killed it.
Wait, you subscribe to everything?
No. He subscribed to us. A subscribe-a-thon is where you go live for like 12 hours.
Yeah.
And every time somebody subscribes or follows, you have a little timer. I was going to talk to you guys about doing this at some point. You have a little timer, and more time gets added to it as subscribers.
When people add.
Yeah.
Right.
He did pretty well today. He went well over 12 hours. I think he ended stream early because he
karaoke?
couldn't do it anymore. No, he was just playing a bunch of different games. You can't do karaoke or show nipples on your. Holy shit. He just came in here and gifted 5 tier 1 subs.
What?
He gifted
all these guys.
Holy fuck. Dex Durden says,
one of these
holy
days
shit,
we are going
Big
to...
Rugged, thank you so much. That's incredible that you just gifted those subs, because that's like the biggest contribution to this channel that anybody's ever done. And I appreciate you so much. And thank you. like from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for doing that, because that's actually like a really big. That's a
I'm
really
really
big.
dumb.
He
and I
means
don't
it. He
know-
means it. He means it because I've been friends with him for years and he's never thanked me for anything in my life.
Yeah, fuck this.
I
guy.
don't know how big of a deal it is, but thank you as well.
I'll tell you
And,
after stream. I don't want to talk money on the stream. Dex Jordan's favorite movie of all time is Godfather. I vehemently disagree.
Which one? 1 or 2 or 3?
One.
He
said
said Godfather, so
Godfather.
let's assume the first one.
Thank you, Big Rugged, again. Honestly, that's crazy, dude. That's crazy.
I want
Yeah, thank you so much.
I want to give back. Eventually, I want to give back to the viewers. That's what I
Okay.
want to do.
Great. So just follow him and gift him subs. So let's talk about Dex Jordan's review of this movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I speak for all the viewers in saying we give it 3 pages of Vogon poetry out of
Nice.
2 Zaphod heads. I've
Nice.
always forgiven this movie.
Damn
for its
it! That's a
problems,
good fucking.
because the
Not done.
guide is so cinematic in its writing that to do the book justice, the movie would have to be 6 hours long. That's correct. Sometimes you just have to make hard choices to get something out there. And you're absolutely right, Dex, because Douglas Adams clearly, he probably would have like there was a TV show before.
Cherry
any
picked the
movies.
best parts.
There's no movie after this though, so they grinded it down to be the best it could be. I'm still fucking blown
And
away.
also within what they had to do as far as Hollywood's concerned, right? Because like you have your powers that be that want.
Yeah, but he is also in the unique position where he's the author of the book and also got to work on the screenplay, which doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. And sorry, Dex, I don't mean to belittle your top of the head favorite movie like that. My problem with The Godfather is it's just like it doesn't hold up against a lot of movies that are as good throughout the years going past it.
After
This
But
is
at
all
the
Jason's
time,
opinion, by the way.
This is a Jason's opinion corner. This is just my opinion. One of my best friends, Jacob, has he off the top of his dome, he's like, yeah, Godfather. And I get it, but I watched The Godfather.
But also, like, you know, my first thought was Evil Dead 2. That doesn't mean it's the best movie ever made. It's
I
just
wanted
one of
to
the
say
movies that I enjoy.
basketball. I wanted to
you
say
said no
basketball.
thinking. No
Exactly.
thinking.
So you said
Um,
Apocalypse Now? What the?
Well, Apocalypse Now is the best movie I've watched recently.
Redux or the original?
It's good,
Redux.
yeah.
It's very long.
The 4.5 hour movie.
It's
And
better.
just to bring it back to Big Rugged for a second, I told him about how my goal for this channel is to be able for the 3 of us to each buy 1 pizza, and that's sort of the metric. And I told him that we had made like $17, and he was
From
like,
where though? Like from Pizza
Yeah, like-
Pizza?
if you have $17, you can get fucking 2 Domino's medium pizzas. So you're already like 2/3 of the. I think we reached our fucking goal. If we get Domino's, we can all buy a
pizza party next
pizza party. So Dex, sorry, Big Rugged, thank you again. I really appreciate that. You're the fucking king of my heart. And Dex, you hung out in Ultra Pikey. It was a lot of fun talking to you. What is Dex? Lol, I respect that opinion. This is Dex again. I've always found it has amazing rewatchability. I've always loved Fight Club, but I find it hard to rewatch sometimes.
Yeah,
Fight
it's
Club
too
is good.
sexy. I want
Fight
to
Club is
just
good.
get naked when I'm watching.
I
that
think I
movie.
like Fight Club more than The Godfather. You know, like that's my brain area. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah,
I'm
and
done.
Jared Leto is real problematic these days.
Yeah, fuck Jared Leto. Fuck that Morbius.
Yo,
Yeah.
he's oh
It's Morbin
Oh.
Kaylin,
time.
we all know that you would marry him if you had the chance, so we'll just let you have that. It's fine.
It's Morbin
I'd
time.
marry unfortunately I'm not picky. I just want some love and I want someone to hold me. That's all I want.
I don't think that Jared Leto would provide that for you. He would
No,
like
he'd
bite you
probably
and then tell
send
you to
you
get
a
out of the
rat
room.
in the mail and say that it was a prank.
Yeah,
Dallas
but
Buyers
his
Club.
eyes though. His eyes.
Dex just brought up Dallas Buyers Club, and that might be his.
Was a great
like,
movie.
that
Dope
might
movie.
be his whole shit. You know what I mean? Like that's his magnum opus. Because for every Dallas Buyers Club, there's gonna be a fucking Joker in Suicide Squad or a fucking
Or
Morbius.
a Joker the movie.
Morbius
Also,
was just a bad
People
decision.
love that Joker movie
Flash also
too.
bad
You know, like people.
I know they
People
do.
love that Joker movie, and I don't care for it either.
In
So
that movie, it was good. He did a good job in that movie. The movie was
We're
not
not-
well executed.
no,
It was not well executed, but
I
in
don't want
what it was, he did a fine job.
A chocolate covered
honka,
turd
honka.
still has a turd in the middle of it. And you can quote me on that. Or an assault allegation. As Dent
Yeah.
Sturgeon says. Yeah,
A
he's
chocolate covered assault allegation still has an assault allegation at the center.
Oh my god. Who are we gonna
Are we?
What-
Can I sign out now? Can we do
let's
the
sign
thing?
out? Well, we have 7 people in the chat right now. So like, do we want to
17?
7?
7.
That's
We're
still
not
pretty
gonna-
dope.
Are we gonna come back and
say all the names? Can you say all 7 names for me?
no? It doesn't work
That's
like
not
that.
how it works.
What can I say them?
No, it
No,
doesn't.
it
You
doesn't
can't
work like
know.
that.
It doesn't show you.
There's no way to know.
Oh. Well,
Oh.
for all of you people out there, thank
people.
you for joining. And for Steven and Jason. Oh, just wait. Just wait.
It doesn't work.
Wait.
Don't worry about pointing.
Don't
Here's
worry-
the 7
don't worry
names:
about it.
Dexter and Big Rugged, Ultra Pikey, Fritz not here. I'm gonna talk to him about that later.
We're gonna have
Probably
some
Oh,
words
you're
with
gonna
maybe
get
my
Fritz
wife-
later this
Talking
evening.
Maybe
too.
Funk Slinger, maybe Genghis Khan, maybe me. Spider Hero's definitely here.
Some funk.
That's 7 names.
All I gotta say is for Steven and Jason, I'm Kellen.
For Jason and for Kaylin, it's me, Steven.
For Kaylin and for Steven, I'm Jason.
And all we gotta ask is, hey,
Hey,
did you see
Did
this
you
one?
see this
this movie?